Hello, my name is Anna Sears, and I will be discussing what I wrote about in my policy briefing titled Stolen Artifacts Must Be Returned, the National Stolen Property Act and its Effects on the U.S.-China Cultural Relations. For this policy brief, I acted as the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Educational and Cultural Affairs and persuaded there to be a change in our national stolen artifact policies. The obtaining and distributing of stolen artifacts has been something that the U.S. has struggled with since the development of our country. There currently is no exact number known of how many stolen artifacts we have within our museums due to there being numerous artifacts located within personal collections. These artifacts within personal and private collections can range anywhere from human remains found by people to culturally significant pieces from the place that they were taken from. All of these remain unaccounted for. Many of our artifacts that reside in our museums have been gotten from anywhere around the globe from a wide range of time. These artifacts were appraised and approved at the time they were gotten, but since then, many of them have remained in museum collections, so their validity has not been since revisited. The Archaeological Institute of America, which deals with all archaeological artifacts within the U.S., has estimated that 85 to 90% of all of our classical artifacts owned have been gotten in immoral ways and should be considered stolen. This image was taken in Donald Miller's home in Indiana, which was investigated by the FBI in 2014, and inside they found over 7,000 cultural artifacts from multiple places across the globe. Inside of his collection, there were roughly 361 artifacts coming from China. These artifacts were soon returned to China, which strengthened our relationship for a short time, and Miller did not face any repercussions from this due to his age. But due to a lack of our policies regarding what to do in a situation like this, I highly doubt much else would have been done. Currently, the only set policy that has any effects on stolen artifacts is the National Stolen Property Act, or the NSPA. This policy was developed in 1934 and was meant to slow down the rising auto theft in the United States. This act is very obviously not tailored to aid in the artifact theft problem and has not since been revisited from its creation. Section 2314 of the NSPA states, "Whoever transports, transmits, or transfers in interstate or foreign commerce any goods, wares, merchandise, securities, or money of the value of $5,000 or more, knowing the same to have been stolen, converted, or taken by fraud, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned no more than 10 years, or both." The phrasing of this leaves many openings to get around it by saying that they have to knowingly be stolen. The Act also does not state what should be done with the stolen property after it is collected, which is something very important to the stolen artifacts issue, since those that are stolen can hold great cultural and historical value to the country of their origin. Due to how little this Act is geared towards this issue, it has done little to no reparations in the issue. Some other attempts that were made to aid in stopping the import and use of stolen artifacts around the country were made by the UN and the FBI. The FBI's Stolen Art Division was created in 2004 in order to start helping with this problem, but it's highly geared towards stolen fine art such as paintings and not cultural artifacts. This division is having a hard time as it is to keep up with stolen paintings, so to add artifacts to their effort would be near to impossible. This program, much like the rest of the FBI, is also incredibly subject to persuasion from the wealthy individuals within the country. This persuasion could determine which cases are dealt with first, meaning that the cases dealing with cultural artifacts could be pushed to the very bottom of the list. The other attempt made at helping the issue was made by the United Nations in 1970. This convention was geared towards stopping the stolen artifact issue around the world and not just the U.S. The convention was not worded very well and opened up many ways to get around not giving back their artifacts. Many museums thought that if they got their artifact before this convention took place, that it did not apply to them, so they all made sure to prove that their collections were obtained before then. Neither of these attempts or the NSPA were able to effectively help in this issue, which means that we must do something else to help the effort. I propose that we must take 2 steps towards making it harder for museums to own and obtain stolen artifacts. The first step that I propose we take is to revisit the NSPA and add a subsection to 2314 so that it directly works with the issue and defines which artifacts should be considered stolen. This subsection would directly state how to determine which artifacts are stolen and what should be done with them once they're determined so. The subsection would set up my second part of the plan, which is a specialized group of people such as art historians, archaeologists, and art appraisers, who would go through a process of reappraising or revalidating all artifacts within the United States to determine which should be sent back. This may seem like a very arduous thing, but a bonus could be offered to those museums that have the least amount stolen. The artifacts that are deemed stolen would also not immediately be required to be sent back, but would be encouraged the owners to talk to the respective country and see what the best course of action for both parties would be. Changing this act could benefit U.S.-China relations in a multitude of ways, including improving the integrity of the U.S. in the eyes of Chinese citizens by returning their cultural goods. In 2015, the 361 artifacts found inside a miller's home were returned, and this act helped our relations exponentially for multiple years until they were again strained due to COVID-19 and the ongoing trade wars. This improved relation could help us repair the trade agreements and gain all the easy trade back into the U.S. The improved relations could also encourage China to provide more legitimate artifacts back into the U.S. in return for those stolen ones that we had originally. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned a little bit more about our stolen artifact problem.